Maybe I should change her name. It just says Jeanetta.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We're going to give it just a minute to make sure everything is working, and then we'll be getting started momentarily with our live stream. Let me mute.
Do we have to mute any? Well, we couldn't mute because we couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if Facebook's going to work, so I am going to go ahead and post the YouTube link in our group. We're going to have someone post that right now. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We were having some technical difficulties today with Facebook, but we are broadcasting to YouTube Live, and this is recorded, and we will be sharing the recording after the live stream. So if you've joined us before, you know we do these monthly live streams where we just want to share business tips and bring on special guests who can share something new that you can test out in your business. So today we have two very special guests. We have Rob and Jeanetta from That Crepe Place. That was the location of our very first and our second networking events for the Port St. Lucie Business Club. And Rob and Jeanette are going to be sharing some out-of-the-box business ideas. We're going to get into some of the history of That Crepe Place, what it is, and some of the creativity that went into the business. So, yeah, why don't we start off with a quick introduction? Can you, Rob and Jeanette, tell us a little bit about you guys, what you're doing, and a little bit more about That Crepe Place?
Sure.
Yes. Thank you for having us, Nicholas. Do you want to skip?
Go ahead.
You want to start? Okay. Well, so we have lived in Port St. Lucie for a long time, and we were tired of seeing the same thing over and over. There are lots of franchises here, and we love to go out to eat for breakfast, and it's usually a long wait, and we don't have many breakfast options in town. And so we said, rather than wait for someone else to do it, we'll just do it ourselves and see how it goes. So we put up a lot of artwork. We made the place very eclectic. We play jazzy versions of songs that you already know. So it's an upscale kind of feel at a decent price.
Right.
And how long have you, when did you originally open?
It was August 2022.
Okay.
So it's been about a year and a half now, and it's going great. Yeah.
Interesting. So what made you think of crepes? That's such a unique choice for a restaurant. Where'd that idea come from?
Well, I have to say we pioneered that idea up in Tennessee. An old friend of mine took us to a Korean family's local cafe, and they had Korean food inside of crepes. They were served vertical, cone-shaped, and I thought that was a brilliant idea. So on the way back from Tennessee, her and I spitballed ideas back and forth. What could we do inside of crepes? We can do the standard sweets that everybody's familiar with, the Nutella, the banana, the strawberry. But why? Let's get creative.
Yeah.
So think outside the box. Let's rebuild the box. So that's where we went. So the trip from Tennessee all the way back home, started doing ideas with recipes, and 90% of what we've come up with, 95% of what we've come up with are actually still in execution on the menu today. So a year and a half in, still going strong with it.
Interesting. And for anyone who wants to try That Crepe Place, of course, we should mention where you guys are located. Tell us the location here in Port St. Lucie.
We are located at 3003 Southwest Port St. Lucie Boulevard, in between Gatlin and Darwin Square, behind the Duffys.
Perfect. Yeah. And you do have some new menu items. We were just in there the other day trying out the Blueberry Bliss. So are you continually going to be adding new menu items, or how often do you come up with new ideas?
Usually we come up with something on the fly. And it's something that warrants a conversation with my guests, and we sit down and say, okay, what do you guys like? What would you like to see? And we go back and forth and say, oh, it makes sense. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So Jeanetta comes up with a lot of ideas for coffee. The coffee flight was her idea. Caramel macchiato was her idea. She's got a lot of ideas that are under under wraps right now. We don't want to share too much and give away the mystery, but she's got some stuff that she's going to be rolling out as well. Food, we always play with ideas for food. I'm kicking around an idea for tofu. I'm looking at doing possibly some impossible burger meat for our vegan, vegetarian crowd. Just trying to stay fluid, trying to adapt and evolve with our times.
Interesting. And what role does customer feedback play in the creativity process when you're coming up with a new item? Are you testing it first? Are you looking for feedback? And, if you get positive or negative feedback, how does that influence the menu?
The influence of our guests it's actually great.
Hi,
because a lot of my ideas are from our guests. And if it wasn't for our guests, we wouldn't keep growing.
Yeah.
So I take a lot of that into consideration. Customer service is one of my top 3 big things that I focus on. Ambiance and food being the other 2.
Interesting. And thank you to everyone who's joining. Hey, Desiree, welcome. Sorry to everyone for the technical difficulties. Just to give you a quick story here of what happened. We had some issues connecting to Facebook today due to some account restrictions, but thankfully we are broadcasting on YouTube. We're sharing that link in the group right now and on the event page. So if you see anyone who looks lost and they're looking for the link, just let them know that we are broadcasting on YouTube. And this will be all recorded and shared later on as well. We'll chop it up and we'll get some good social media posts out of it as well. So yeah, thank you. Welcome to YouTube. If you've never done like a YouTube live, because I know Facebook's where most of our engagement usually comes from with these. So it's a little bit of a change of pace, but thank you for making it work with us. And thank you to my wife, Michelle, who's helping behind the scenes manage all of this. Hey, Jill, welcome. And if anyone has questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. The topic is out-of-the-box business ideas. We have 2 very influential local entrepreneurs with us, the co-owners and founders of That Crepe Place. So we're going to be talking about all different ways that you can leverage out-of-the-box ideas in your business. So I'll go in with another question here. You've definitely ingrained That Crepe Place into the local community. There's so many people that know about it, not just for the food, but just as a great place to go to maybe have a coffee or meet with a client. I know for me, I would much rather bring a client to That Crepe Place than to like Starbucks, right? How did you do that? How did you get so, I guess, well connected in the community to create that atmosphere where people just know about it and they feel comfortable just going there?
Well, we're very involved in the community. Rob has helped one of the local churches feed the homeless. He helped another church by allowing them they didn't have a space to make their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for a while. So we let them use our space to do that. Certainly joining I've joined like every Facebook group there is for Port St. Lucie and some in Stewart. And so when people ask about new places to eat, I post pictures, and that's how we get the word out. And because a lot of people tell us, "Oh, I heard about it from a friend," but some people say they've never heard of us at all. So we're trying to spread the word as much as possible. And definitely joining Port St. Lucie Business Club has been a huge help and has made a difference. Really helps us feel like we have a support system and people that we can ask genuine questions to and not feel judged. Definitely doing the hosting the first 2 business networking groups. We made a lot of friends and a lot of connections there. So I think that really made a difference for us and helped us. Yeah,
it does. And my tactic is I don't like to say no. So I like to be able to say, "You want to do it? Okay, sure. Let's see what we can do together. Let's try to do a community output. Let's try to do a community reach, community involvement." We get so caught up in doing our own things. And hey, there's this cute little spot. I don't want to tell anybody because I want it all to my own.
Yeah.
But what happens is that comes into like wildfire, and then somebody tells somebody, and then somebody tells somebody. That's why we don't really focus much on advertising. We prefer an organic word of mouth. And speaking of advertising, part of my community thing is instead of spending money on digital advertising and paper advertising. No offense to my digital content creators. Love you guys. You're great with what you do. But my idea 2 years ago was to take that $5,000 that I was going to spend on my advertisement budget, put it in a gelato case, so that all of my new guests were coming in. I've got them there. You're there. Hi. Here's some free gelato.
Yeah.
Who gives stuff away for free these days? You know, and then that simple thing, that one simple thing makes the entire
Makes
thing.
a huge difference.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we certainly focus on creating a memorable experience. It's not just a place to eat, it's a unique place where you're hopefully when you leave, you're like, wow, that place was really cool. I can't wait to come back, or I can't wait to bring my friend, my grandmother, whoever. So we're foodies. We love to go out to eat. So before we decided to get into opening our own cafe, we wrote down all of the things that we were complaining about, which was long wait for getting your check, which is why we do counter service, at customer service, quality of food. And so we really try to go above and beyond to make people remember the experience. And sometimes, like he said, it's something just as simple as getting a free scoop of gelato.
Yeah.
Will make you remember, wow, that was really nice, or they remembered my birthday, they gave me something free on my birthday, and next time I want a cup of coffee or a crepe, I'm going to go back to that place.
And it's really good gelato, by the way. It's not your run-of-the-mill gelato. I'm a huge fan of the OMG.
The OMG?
Yeah. That one is the
coffee and mascarpone.
Ah.
Who knew that would taste so amazing together, but it does, yeah.
If you take one thing away from this live stream, it's go to That Crepe Place and try the OMG gelato. It is to die for.
Exactly.
I see we have a question. Oh yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see.
I believe the question.
Desiree has a question.
Yeah, let's pull that question up. So Desiree says, what is one of the best ideas you feel like you've had recently?
That's hers.
Well, I would say, okay,
Hers,
so
100%. It was the coffee flight.
yes.
And
I'll tell you how that
honestly,
started.
I was like, you're crazy for doing this, but everyone's loved it. And yeah, we can't keep up at this point. So thank you guys for proving me wrong. It's great.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm on these pages, Port St. Lucie recommendations. I think Port St. Lucie moms, Stewart moms, people talk about all these different things. And someone mentioned, I'm looking for a local place to have a coffee flight. And there were very few recommendations. And so I said, well, I feel like that would take a long time to put together, but I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And so we tried it one weekend and it just became so popular and people started taking pictures and then it just blew up. And so now we're selling tons and tons of coffee flights.
Oh, wow.
But the idea originally came from people in the community asking for something like that.
And what is a coffee flight? Because I see Daryl asks, go into details, and I didn't know at first either. So yeah, can you give us a little details of what
sure.
it is and what's included?
So it's a cool little tray with 4 servings of our most popular coffees. So it's kind of like a beer flight that you would get at a craft beer place. So you get to try our caramel macchiato, mocha latte, chai latte, and coquito latte, which is Puerto Rican eggnog.
Oh, wow.
And we put a little whipped cream on top and make it look pretty and frilly, and people love it.
Interesting. So, yeah, so if anyone else has questions, feel free to keep putting them in the chat and we'll get to them as they come up. One other thing that I think is very interesting about That Crepe Place is the decor and the atmosphere. When you walk in, it's unlike any other restaurant or cafe that I've ever been to. You have art, you have a fireplace, you have books. You definitely have to see it to experience it. Can you tell us about how important it is, the sort of the ambiance, I guess you could call it, to that overall experience? What made you want to create something like that?
If you don't mind, I'll take this one. But I give her credit for everything. Like if I didn't have her, I wouldn't have my ideas. I have the ideas and she believes in my ideas. She supports my ideas. So with that support, I said, okay, let's see what your support, my ideas can do together. And that's what happened. I wrote down everything in a book and that is how it came to pass. What do we want? what would we like to see? We want good customer service. We want somewhere that's unique and eclectic and really has that ambiance of you're here as part of a family. You're here as part of a group. Welcome. You're in my community. You know, we're here for you. So we didn't have it. Check it. Let's do it. Let's have something that's unique and classy, sophisticated, where we can talk philosophy, or we can talk about high school involvement with track and field or arts. Let's bring it in, bring it all. We'll do it. So that's how it really happened. And again, it wouldn't exist without her. So I give her 200% credit.
That's awesome, and it's such a great place just to hang out. I know we've filmed TikTok skits there, and it's just it's a cool place for like a photo shoot, and y'all are okay with it too, which is great.
Of course. Take pictures. That's what that's part of the feel of being there. We try to make everything Instagrammable.
Yep.
So that your drinks, your food, and everything looks beautiful, so that it's part of the experience. The ambiance and the
dining experience.
It's an experience for sure.
That's the trifecta. When you tie it all together, I want the sights, the smells, the feeling. You're hearing songs that because they're newer, but they have a 30s spin on them.
Right.
So you've got that feel. You've got the customer service. People come over, legitimately ask you, how was your food?
Yeah.
What can we do? Would you like some free gelato? And 9 times out of 10, I don't ask. I just bring it to the table. So here you go. But yeah, customer service is key. To touch before I lose it, it was the name of the business.
Yeah, I see that from Daryl here.
Pass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I take this one?
Please.
It's easy. Okay. So how many times do you go out to eat and you're like, man, what's the name of that sushi place we went to? What's the name of that pizza place we went to? So we said, you know what? We'll just call it That Crepe Place. That way, when you go and Google it, we're the first ones that come up, and it works. And it's kind of like that who's on first thing.
Right.
It's one of those names you don't forget because it's so simple and memorable and descriptive too.
Right.
Exactly.
And for some people, it ends up being a joke because they say, let's go to that crepe place. And they're like, which crepe place? And they're like, that's Crepe Place. Like, that's the name of it. And they're like, oh.
Right.
That came up quite a few times when I was promoting our networking events there. I remember going to these other networking events and saying, hey, we're having an event at That Crepe Place. And people would say, what's the name? Where's it going to be at? And I'm like, That Crepe Place. So that was funny. Eventually they got it.
Stello for the known crowd there.
Right. Yeah, that's what Danny's saying. Who's on third?
Who's on first? Yeah, Daniel, thank you for joining us. If it wasn't for Daniel, I would not even know you guys, or we wouldn't have had those first events there. He was the one that helped put everyone together. So Daniel, thank you so much for helping us take the jump into networking events and for helping all of our events. Daniel, for anyone who doesn't know, he helps me plan all of our in-person networking events. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for everything you're doing for the group.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
and if you're ever nervous about anything, talk to Danny and you take all your anxiety away. Definitely.
That's right.
I see we have a question from Jonathan. What are some strategies you implement to bring in and retain customers? It's a good one.
Again, with bringing in is kind of marketing technique, word of mouth, and I have a lot of Instagrammable plates. I say a lot, all of them. Because that's kind of my OCD that shines through with how my food is prepared, how it's plated, what you see. Because if I see a mistake, you might see a mistake.
Yeah.
No mistakes. So make it right or don't make it. So that's my customer service on my end. And what you guys see is consistent pictures. So if you look online, Jonathan with Facebook, Instagram, I can't say MySpace because we don't have a MySpace page anymore at all, ever. But those pictures are consistent, and I believe in truth in advertising. So, hello. And with that is you're getting the same coffee every single visit. I've got my espresso machine dialed in. I've got my staff dialed in. So everything is right. The recipes are made correctly. And they know at this point, if the batter's not right, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So, that's bringing them in and keeping them. So retaining my customers is important with having a consistent product. And I attribute it to going to McDonald's. Everyone goes to McDonald's and they get nuggets or a burger. If it tastes different every time, you wouldn't go back.
Right. Yeah. And with crepes, I'm sure it's more difficult. I see Jill, you say, my Austrian grandmother used to make crepes when I was a kid and I love them. So thank you for bringing them to our community.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I would agree. It's such a unique thing to have in the community, but I'm sure that brings challenges, right? Your staff probably didn't know how to make crepes before they worked at That Crepe Place. What challenges did you have regarding just teaching the art of crepe making and getting them consistent?
This is kind of a two-part question. The first part, bringing them into the community, we found that crepes are worldwide.
Yes.
It's kind of like bringing everybody in the community together to the point that it kind of makes me the gluten that holds all of my crepes together. So everyone, almost every culture has a crepe in some variation. But with the staff, it's training high schoolers. It's training kids that are going into college, training new skills and trying to make things as easy as possible. So when you watch videos, how to make a crepe, 99% of the time you're going to see somebody pour the batter in and they use a T-shaped object and they swirl it around. That's difficult. I tried multiple times. I can do it, but if I couldn't perfect it, I wouldn't expect anybody else to try to perfect it either. So my technique was to put it in a batter ladle, and my ladle is pre-measured at 8 ounces. So I know every single time, every single crepes, 8 ounces. So that technique makes it so it's almost where we can train anybody that's tall enough to reach the counter, which I say that we have in our crepe making classes. So, we're successful with that.
Yeah.
And
with that being said, we didn't know how to make crepes ourselves before we came up with this idea.
Wow.
So that was one of the out of the box things that we were looking at. We were trying to teach ourselves how to easily do it with the tea. And he said, this is complicated. There's got to be another way. And he figured out that it's easier to do it with a ladle. And now anybody can do it.
Right.
Interesting. That's a good example of problem solving on the fly, sort of like what we're dealing with today with Facebook and YouTube, and we're just making it work.
Adaptation and evolution.
Right. You just got to you can't just give up. If you would have said, hey, this T-shaped device isn't working, let's just forget it. We're going to make hamburgers instead. No, you said, let's figure out a way to make it consistent, and it worked.
Yeah, you have to adapt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see Daniel has a question. How do you measure success? Oh, this is such a universally important question because there's so many different ways to measure success in business. How do you measure success for That Crepe Place?
For me personally, it's when people keep coming back. So we have so many regulars that sometimes I feel awful because I'm like, hey, have you been here before? And they're like, I've been here a million times. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's just, I'm not there all the time, but they are. And they bring their family, they bring their friends. When family comes to visit, they're excited to bring them to That Crepe Place because it's the unique, cool place in town.
Yeah.
Because we really don't have that here. So some people are very excited to have something different where they can kind of impress their family members that are coming from Orlando or Miami or a big city, New York City, or LA. They're used to these kind of places. And so they can say, hey, I want you to try this new place that opened up in town with me. And they're excited about it. So for me, that makes me feel like we've done our job. Yeah.
So you're measuring success through the responses that you get and the repeat business from customers.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you quantify it any further than that? Like, are you looking at like specific review metrics? Like, hey, we got a certain number of reviews this month, or a certain average rating, or anything like that from a numbers perspective?
We did more in the beginning, I guess, because it was so new. We didn't even know if this was going to work. It was totally new concept, very risky. We put a lot of money into it, not knowing if it was going to work out. But we did maybe obsess a little too much the first couple of months on our ratings, our reviews. We have a 4.8 star rating.
Nice.
And yeah, we do keep on top of that. And then, of course, in the future, we'll worry more about profits. But for now, we just want to make sure that we're able to do what we need to do so that we can stay open, because it's very difficult to have any kind of business right now, especially in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah. On that note, what advice or what words of encouragement maybe would you give? Because I see it in the group. I see it when I'm at networking events. I see a lot of businesses are struggling. There's so many great ideas out there and passionate entrepreneurs, but the economy or for whatever reason, it's difficult. I've been there. We all know it's very difficult to run a business. What advice or words of encouragement do you have for folks that are really trying to make it work?
I would say certainly stick with it and get to know people. If you can meet someone who's doing something similar or has been in your shoes, and then they can help you. People are, especially other business owners in the community, they want to see you succeed. So they're going to spend some of their time to help you out, to answer your questions. Sometimes all we need is a mentor or someone to just say, hey, keep going. It's okay. I've been through this as well. It was the same thing for me. Just hold on and keep going.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, I see Desiree says long-term relationships. That's so important. And doing those things to go the extra mile. Like to me, I will never forget that you let us do those networking events there. And we're going to do more there. We're going to do some morning events and some coffee. But like that meant so much to me personally. And I know a lot of businesses won't do that because it's just like, why should they? It's an
Right.
expense. You had to have extra staff there those evenings. So we're very thankful for that. And I think a lot of businesses can learn from what you did and just sort of, get out there in the community and do that type of stuff and give back.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun for us.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I think I don't know if anybody here has spoken to me directly at any time in the past or in the future when you do speak to me. I'm passionate about my business.
Yep.
This is my baby because this is what I have to give.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an opportunity to do it different and change the rules. So I'm a rebel. I'm an outlaw. I'm a philosopher, philanthropist, all the above. Yes, alchemist. I'll take all the titles. But people say, what does it take? What should you do? Business is hard. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Getting up in the morning and driving in Port St. Lucie is hard. It's all subjective. And anybody that's ever won was never scared of losing.
Mm-hmm.
So take that step. So what? You fail, learn from it, do it again, but do it better and keep going and keep going. If I was scared to do crepes because no one else had, it never would have happened. So I broke the mold from what I'm seeing, my perspective, do it this way. I don't like rules. I create a rule. Let's go this way. So go your own way if you have to.
Right. And who says that, most places that serve breakfast foods,
Change the rules.
they're open from 7 to 3. Who says we have to be open we are open to 8 o'clock every day. And guess what? People come in at 7:55 all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love you guys that come in at 7:59 and 8:01. My door is open for you until 9, 10 o'clock at night, if need be, because we're there for the community. And that's what it takes.
It makes a difference. Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. I see we have a question from Daniel. What has been your biggest challenge that you faced in growing your business, and how did you overcome it?
Challenge. People's challenges are subjective, and I see a challenge as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a challenge, that's where can we grow? It's an opportunity to say, what can we do? Can we do this, and can we do it differently? So growing the business, one of the challenges from a normal restaurateur is always going to be cost. It's the finances. And I can go build a spot or I can go lease a spot. I can create one from scratch or I can go refurbish a spot or think outside the box. Why do a brick and mortar? I have a brick and mortar. Now I want to go mobile. I want to bring my food to you. What community are you in? What day are you there? I want to create a calendar so that you see when I'm going to be coming to you. So that way you can say, okay, yeah, I know That Crepe Place, been open for years, established brand, consistent food, coming to you. To your neighborhood soon.
Yeah.
Interesting. So are we getting the inside scoop here? Is there there's
It's
some
coming.
updates coming that we're going to hear about?
It's coming, indeed. And part of it is trial and error. I did have a trial this past Sunday, 999 Bar and Lounge.
Yes.
And Stuart was kind enough to bring us in to let us do some crepes and mimosas this past Sunday. And it was a success. So we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time to do it all over again. In which time I'm still building from scratch a food trailer or mobile kitchen, if you will, because some inside information is it will be more than just crepes on this menu.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah.
I know you'll do it in a different way from anyone else out there. That's for sure. And I know that event was a success. I wish I could have made it. I will definitely be at the next one. But I know Daniel was there. I saw some photos on Instagram. It looked like a blast. So we'll definitely have to share that in the group once it's out. One other thing I wanted to touch on is team building. And you have a very unique approach with how you manage the team. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What keeps them motivated? How you handle just organizational structure? How the place is actually able to run very efficiently when you're not there? Yeah. What advice do you have there?
So I operate my business based on a standpoint of being an employee for so many years, both small operations, small companies, and large corporations. I have retail management experience, courtesy of Blockbuster Video. Yes, I'm dating myself. All the way to starting from scratch my own pest control business, scuba diving instruction business, and a plethora of things in between. So I know what it's like to work for somebody. And I try to have the dynamic of if you're a natural leader, it'll come to the surface. Mm-hmm. You'll be seen. So I start everybody out. Everyone's trained to do every station, and everyone has the same pay. So it's no managers, no shift leads. It's everyone is the same individual that can train to do crepes. We can do dishwashing. The hierarchy will naturally develop, and the leaders will come to the surface. So that natural leadership flow helps with the other employee transition, so that when we do hire new employees that aren't familiar with so-and-so's new rise to power because they received a key or they received extra hours or they have some more responsibilities, then it's, oh, of course, then they're not a manager. I don't think I've had anybody call anybody a manager in just 2 years that we've been open. So to the extent that with some of our guests that come through, they don't know who the manager is. Yep. They see me in my tie and they say, oh, you must be the manager. Sure, I am. How can I help you? But that's great because everybody works together. We're all a team. And as a team, we all succeed.
Yeah.
And part of that is because we are very involved. So we are there all the time. So when things grow in the future and we're off doing other things like the trailer and maybe working in Stewart, then we may have a manager on site to just make sure that they are us when we're not there. But for the most part, the employees have been doing a really good job of policing themselves. Mm-hmm. When we have meetings, we give them 2 minutes of, what do you call them? So
I try to have monthly meetings.
Okay.
I bring everybody in, feed them pizza or burgers or wings or wherever from, that pizza place or that wing place. And then they have 2 minutes of what I call amnesty. So you can take 2 minutes of the meeting time, speak your piece, positive, negative, indifferent. You don't like me? Fine. Tell me you don't like me. I won't hold it against you. You don't like him? You don't like her? Fine. They shouldn't hold it against you. So in no retaliation. So there's no blowback to it. And 9 times out of 10, what'll happen, the first 3 or 4 staff members will say, I wish we could change this. And then it starts, yeah. And then by the time we're halfway through, it becomes, oh yeah, what he said. So you guys are realizing that it's the same commonality. It's the same thing, that everyone's fighting the same battle. So then they start to click together, and it coalesces that way.
Yeah, and there are no secrets. So when someone gets in trouble, there's no room for gossip, or not as much room for
That's
gossip.
important.
When someone gets in trouble, and we've talked to them about this, they have agreed that they want to be publicly humiliated. And so we have a work chat, and we put it all in the work chat so everyone knows about it. So there's no secrets and whispering, and so the other employees learn what to do and what not to do, what's going to get you in trouble. And they are honest with each other. They call each other out and say, hey, Bob, you forgot to mop last night. What's going on? And that seems to help.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's definitely a unique approach to have a very flat organizational structure and a lot of transparency. And I can see that it's working well. So hopefully some of our viewers are taking some good notes and some takeaways from this. This has been fantastic. We had so many questions. We covered on everything from customer service to management to marketing ideas and thinking outside the box. As we wrap up, maybe tell us, are there any updates you want to give us about That Crepe Place, or what's in store for the future, or any final announcements before we wrap up?
Well, with questions unanswered, things that people would like to address or want to reach out privately, I do have a digital business card that's at the front of the register at That Crepe Place. So you can go with your phone, both Android and Apple, hold it to the little white square, activates it, and I'll take you to my personal cell phone number and my email address as well. So if there's any questions, issues, feel free to reach out to me directly. Something else outside the box, I don't know very many restaurant owners that offer that to their guests. That's the level of passion I have for my customers and my customer service.
I remember seeing that last time I was in there. It's like, it has your name on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's right front and center.
Yes.
Exactly.
One thing I do want to bring up for the business owners also, we like to be creative and just do things that are very different, and that also makes the experience memorable. We have a mannequin lamp in the corner that was made for us by Artisan Stewart, and we have a TikTok video that goes along with it. So there's a QR code that people can scan, so it makes the artwork interactive. So we now have 2 pieces like that where you can interact with them, and we are always looking for more ideas, more things that we can do to make it more like an art gallery that you're coming into, as well as a place to get something for lunch or dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so unique. It's like an art gallery. It's a coffee shop. You can get tea. That's it. We didn't even talk about the tea. I mean, where else in the area can you get a whole set of
There
high
was
tea?
a mention about tea as well. I didn't get a chance to touch on that. We do have 20 to 25 teas on rotation at any given time. Part of the experience is being interactive with the teas on the tea bar. Smaller jars, you can take the lids off and smell the tea and see actually what's in it for our non-coffee fans out there. I'm with you. I'm not a huge coffee fan either. So, we try to cover all of our bases.
Yeah. The tea is an experience. My wife, Michelle, always gets the tea. And when we go there with our son, he likes to play with the little sand timer. So, it's not, you're thinking, oh, you just get a cup of tea. No, you get the teapot, the cups, you get the sand timer, you get the whole thing on a nice tray. It's definitely an experience.
Trays that we painted ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, those are very artistic. Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. We will put some URLs below where people can check out the website and get more information. And of course, I encourage everyone in the Treasure Coast to visit That Crepe Place.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you guys for tuning in.